Hey everyone, Token Dave over here, the dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. Well, 2017 was actually another great year to be a fanboy. There were a couple of misses here and there, but overall, a lot of the TV shows and movies for fanboys, well, mainly the movies, were amazeballs, So, with that in mind, with having a lot of things to choose from, I'm going to give my top 5 fanboy films of 2017. Well, my 5 favorite fanboy films of 2017. Now, a little bit earlier, I gave off my list of the top 5 disappointing fanboy movies and TV shows of 2017. That one, I'm sure some people disagreed with, just in general, but I know this particular list, a lot of you are really going to disagree with, and basically, I expect that. Just drop me a comment below about what are your 5 favorite fanboy movies. I'll repeat this later, but just know that this list is purely subjective, and it is my opinion. I know you guys are going to disagree, especially with the general consensus of 2 of the movies that are on this list. So, let's start this bad boy off with number 5, Justice League. I have been really disappointed with the DCEU. I was underwhelmed by Man of Steel, despite I still believe it's actually the 4th best movie, Superman movie, which is not saying much, because in my opinion, there's only really 2 really good ones. But, I was underwhelmed with Man of Steel. I detested Batman vs. Superman. I thought Suicide Squad was really overrated, and disappointing in itself. And this year, though, DC came back swinging, and the number 2 follow-up punch was Justice League. Here, I actually really, despite the fact that, I really felt that Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman, were not developed enough on their own for the general audiences. Basically, Zack Snyder and and Josh Whedon, they actually did a good job of incorporating these characters and having them come together and work dynamically well, despite the general mainstream audience not really knowing them as well. Yes, there have been multiple adaptations of Cyborg in the renditions of the Teen Titans animated series, both of them, and I believe also in the Teen Titans movies that have come out in the animation. I have not seen them yet, people have a understanding of the Flash to a degree, but this was actually remarkably done well. I really love Ben Affleck, despite my beef with Batman vs. Superman. I really do love Ben Affleck as Batman, and Gal Gadot was awesome as Wonder Woman. And Steppenwolf was an interesting enforcer and villain, and basically, obstacle to defeat of what things will come later on down the road. But then again, there's supposed to be a reshuffling because the movie didn't do so well. But despite all of this, I really enjoyed Justice League. My biggest beef, besides Ezra Miller's Flash and everything, which he acts more like Bart Allen as opposed to Barry Allen, my other beef is that it looks like there was a lot cut out, and so some of the things that are incorporated or discussed might be a little jarring here and there, but it was still a good time, and this is actually the 2nd DCEU movie that I thoroughly enjoyed. Number 4, Spiderman Homecoming. Marvel had a really good year yet again, and it was hard for me to basically distinguish what was the best movie that they put out this year, but with everyone warning the MCU to finally have one of their flag characters incorporated, the execution of Spider-Man Homecoming was astounding. We actually got the Peter Parker that us fans of the comics want. We got high school student Parker. However, what this movie did is it found a decent balance of the Spider-Man in the original canon, Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe, and as well as gave a little more of a creative spin to things. It was also a very New York feeling. Despite it taking place in Queens and having the suburban high school feel, which is not representative of, high school in an urban area to this time, if you actually look at Queens, certain parts of Queens, you could tell that they were trying to make this particular movie take place closer to Long Island. And you still did get a genuine New York feel from this. To top it off, basically, Michael Keaton as the Vulture was awesome in this. He is, to me personally, while a lot of people say Loki is the best villain, I actually say from the get-go, because remember, Loki had more screen time. Michael Keaton as Adrian Toomes, he nailed it out of the park in his first setting. So, to me, Michael Keaton is actually probably one of the top 3 MCU villains that I've seen directly from the movies, Alright, number 3, Star Wars Last Jedi. Oh, there's a lot of hatred for this movie, to which I say, if you watched Force Awakens and love that, and then hate this movie, yeah, I can't defend you on that. Now, if you're one of the people that hated Force Awakens and hated this one, I can see consistency. However, I love the hell out of this movie. First off, I am one of the people that prefer the extended universe, because I followed that for years. However, the direction that Disney was taking, I was one of those people that hated Force Awakens and was not looking forward to this. And then when Last Jedi came out, when I saw it, I was blown away. We got the more of the older characters whom are back, and they actually expanded upon the Force and took things in a direction that I was not expecting, nor was anyone else expecting. And to be honest, one of the problems is if you don't meet expectations to a degree, what everyone conceives, they get upset with it. Me, I was just taking it as it is, and as it was a great time. We got a side of Luke that I didn't expect to see, and to be honest, I enjoyed this take of Luke, whom now is not the wide-eyed, adventurous spirit and everything from Return of the Jedi. We have a more mature, jaded, and cynical Luke, which, to be frank, people still have to consider. This guy went from being a real hero, huge hero, legendary, to having the weight of the universe on his shoulders, and his one failure was his biggest failure, and people hate how he's actually, taking that failure. That's a lot for one person and everything. And, I can see why he became crotchety, but I'll go into more detail when I continue my Star Wars Last Jedi rants. In addition, some of the characters that were introduced in the previous movie are greatly expanded upon and more enjoyable, particularly Kylo Ren and Poe Dameron. In addition, we got to see Leia using the Force, finally on the big screen. She's used the Force a lot in the novels and the comics, but it was nice to see her on screen using the Force. In a way, mind you, that Darth Vader used the Force in one of the novels, but I think I talked about that already. In addition, what this movie did compared to The Force Awakens was it took some of the blueprints from Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but instead, it made it its own movie and took it in a much more interesting and expansive direction. So, I'm going to continue making more videos of my defense and love of Star Wars Last Jedi, but this one deserved a spot on this list, and it got number 3. Number 2, Wonder Woman. Yes! Finally! I have been waiting for a Wonder Woman movie ever since I was 12 years old after Batman Returns came out. What the fuck took so long? No, seriously, what the fuck took so long? This character has been around for 70 years, and it just takes now for her to have a leading movie? The fuck? And with that aside, I was not looking forward to this movie because the DCEU had a terrible track record up until this came out this summer, and I enjoyed the fuck out of it. You know, I was not really impressed with Gal Gadot in the Fast and Furious movies, and my beef with Batman vs Superman, you know, she was one of the few saving graces on it, and it really showed in this. Top it off, you know, for a long time, Linda Carter was Wonder Woman to me. Not anymore. Gal Gadot nailed her. She got her warrior spirit down. She got her compassion and loving nature down. And to top it off, she has her awesome kickassery. While I'll admit the villain was weak and the CGI clusterfuck towards the end kind of took things out of context, and it started off looking like a repeat or a rehash of Captain America, the first Avenger, this movie had found its own rhythm and was completely amazeballs. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie, and it definitely is my number 2 of fanboy movies 2017. So as much as I enjoyed Wonder Woman, what was number 1? Oddly enough, number 1 was the first fanboy movie I saw all year. Logan. I was really late to see this in the movie theater, and when I did, I was blown the hell away. I am one of the people that is not a fan of the live adaptations of the X-Men movies, yet I felt that, well, X-Men Origins Wolverine was a huge turd burger, and the Wolverine was meh. They amped it up to 100 right here by giving us one of the most grounded, gritty, violent, yet dramatic performances of Hugh Jackman as the character. You know, with all the beef that I have with the live-action X-Men movies, this movie itself really hit it on the nail, you know. And it was not just a superhero fanboy movie. This was actually pretty much in the likes of a Western or a, Wandering Ronin movie, which is fairly intriguing, you know. There was a lot of elements of, the Wolf and the Cub in this, and to top it off, a lot of elements of other Westerns. Hell, Shane is highly referenced in this movie, you know. And to top it off, we had such excellent performances. You know, I keep forgetting what the little girl who plays X-23, but she was just amazing in this. You know, they're really stepping up the child actors this decade, and I'm glad for that. Hugh Jackman was actually really good as Wolverine, you know, the best, actually, yes, his best performance as Wolverine to date. But to me personally, the standout performance was Patrick Stewart as Professor X. While this should not be a surprise because Patrick Stewart is an awesome actor, you know, this performance was so good. To me, this is the best comic book character performance I've ever seen in a movie thus far. And there was a rumor a couple of months ago that they're trying to, you know, get him considered for a nomination, you know, and I hope it goes through because he deserves a lot of credit for his role in this movie. Now, granted, I have a huge beef with basically, you know, the reason why Wolverine is basically like aging and not doing as well physically. However, despite all that, Logan was definitely the biggest and best surprise that I got, and in my opinion is the best fanboy film of 2017. Agree? Disagree? Drop me a comment below. Let me know what your 5 favorite fanboy movies of 2017 was. Like this video, subscribe, follow me on Facebook at Token Dave or on Twitter at Token Dave 80. Subscribe, ring that bell so you know when a new video loads. But until then, this has been Token Dave, the dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. And I'll catch you guys later.